ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here for Megathread Monday. One of my favorite days of the week where I can just sit back, relax, right? I hardly do any talking. Let Mr. Dursa do all the talking. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well.
All right, you take it away. It's your show. Your time to shine.
All right. Did you see today Ryan Rishaug put out um, kind of a list of what the NHL is going to do if they get the go ahead to play again? Did you
I
see any of that?
I did see the list, and yeah. Well, you go ahead. Yeah, I saw the list.
I'll read it here. I guess it's from sort of Bill Daly, but so had a conversation with an infectious disease specialist about possible ways to modify the game to reduce the risk of virus spread during play. I'm not suggesting any or all of these are necessary, simply relaying what a few of the options could be. PA would obviously have to agree to any such changes, and they are as follows: full face shields, potentially modified to reduce spread of droplets even further, no fighting allowed, no scrums after whistles for linesmen to have to break up, coaches social distanced and wearing face masks on the bench, wingers to maintain 2 feet of distance on face-offs instead of the traditional crossing of sticks and leaning in to one another's space, no spitting on the ice or bench. So that was Bill Daly on the potential for such changes. We would consider anything our infectious disease experts and advisors might recommend, but I'm not sure, given the circumstances of our game, that any dramatic modifications will really be necessary. To me, that's not hockey anymore. If all those things have to go down for us to continue playing, I don't know. I'm not interested in a Stanley Cup playoff where you can't be close to people. It's not hockey anymore. I don't know where you are on that, but
Yeah, okay. So this is interesting because I saw it, and I also saw Nielsen's tweet on it as well. So he said, why don't you just cancel the season? But there's a couple things in there that I thought were interesting. So the first off, these are some of the suggestions only, right? So my guess is this is probably not an all or nothing scenario, right? They would take bits and pieces of this, uh, and their recommendations, right? So when I read the list, and so the full face shields, yeah, you know what? That's fine. Guys have worn full face shields before. I don't see a big challenge with that. No fighting, no scrums. Those are maybe the two that are the biggest change there. Coaches social distance, that's, whatever. They stand a little few feet apart. I'm sure that's going to be relaxed a few ways in, right? And then the other aspect is and this is the one that I think is maybe the weirdest one, which is wingers to maintain 2 feet of distance on faceoffs. So that
aren't supposed to deliver a body check either.
well, but they don't have that in there, right? Like they don't have that aspect
Right.
in there. So my thought on it is that the rest of the game they would have no intention of changing, right? And so you'd basically be watching, a normal game with the exception of after the whistle, there'd be no scrums. Yeah, I guess that's part of the game, right? Like that's a part that kind of gets you excited, gets you pumped up and going, and all of that. But for the most part, I mean, the biggest change that I see there is just the face off, right? I mean, there's some people who hate the scrum after every whistle anyway. So there'd be, I mean, it's a small contingent, but there'd be a contingent of fans out there that are happy to get rid of that, right? Yeah. I mean, your thoughts? I mean, my big thing is the that face off, and then it's recommendations. I mean, would you be
The
for them canceling the season altogether if they?
well, the whole thing sort of to me defies a little bit of common sense anyway. Like, you aren't you going to test these guys to make sure they don't have COVID before you start?
Yeah, I mean
So
that's
if they pass that, what's the issue?
and that's the. I mean, the thing is that you expect that with the incubation period that there might be some of the guys that have it anyway that you are unaware of, right? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
so.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean that to me is probably is the big part is they don't know for sure if there's going to be like if everybody's going to be part of it that hasn't gone through the incubation period. I mean they'd have to sit there for 2 weeks together through that incubation period
Right.
and then test them. So I guess they'd have to get
Um,
together right now.
the other thing that crossed my mind is on Saturday there was another UFC that went down, and they actually did have a guy test positive for COVID, and they went ahead anyway with the whole thing. They didn't shut the whole thing down. So I mean, that's as close of you know those guys are up close and personal. They're exchanging blows. I mean, if one guy has the virus, the other guy's going to have it because of just the close proximity. So I wonder if they'll use that as kind of a case study on, are we okay here? Because I mean, those guys are in tight, right? And if one has it, the other's going to have it. They're probably, closer contact than most guys would ever get on the ice.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? I suppose I mean the reality of it is some players have already got it, right? The other thing and I'm looking at Periscope here. Bob says, yeah, it's a starting point, right? They can start discussing what's realistic and what's not, and adjust from
Yeah,
there. Yeah, and their recommendations, right? So you're
we're
right. I
still
mean, UFC
we're still
is
a
going
ways from
ahead.
anything going on. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I'm not of the opinion that we should all be, out in the streets hugging each other and giving each other high fives yet. Um, but I'm getting to a situation where, in my own head, where I'm thinking like we need to find some way to move kind of forward with life, because I suspect this is kind of a new reality for us. And and that means I guess the challenge is, and the reason why you lock everybody up is you can't keep them from not high fiving each other and shaking everybody's hand. There's a certain segment of the population that just they won't use sanitizer and wash their hands and do all of the things you're supposed to do. But there's
Right.
the folks that do that, like you, like me, like a lot of people we know, those people I think could go on and live, you know, with acceptable distances and do all of these things. And I think when it comes to something like hockey, where maybe you put them, you put them in some scenario where they're all they're apart from each other, apart from everybody else out in the world, for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Um, yeah, UFC is doing it, and what's the number? Just one so far.
Yeah, just one guy had it, and you know what? He knew his family was infected before he went to the whole thing. Like he shouldn't have been he shouldn't even have been there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and so I guess that's another challenge, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, Bob's point is valid. They've got to have a starting point, and I guess the question that people need to ask is what they feel is the most important thing when it comes to hockey. Is it to get out there and play, and also ask the players, right? Like if this is there's a couple of things at play here too. One is, will the local governments allow it, right? Like it's certainly a hockey game by its definition is more than 10 people, right? Like
Yeah,
that's an event that's more than 10 people.
right.
Will they relax those rules, for hockey? I don't know. Do the players want it? Right? We know that the players that, wouldn't be looking at a playoff spot anyway are against it, right? And does a guy like Connor McDavid, who, for the most part has a pretty big career in front of him, does he need this one playoff to leave a legacy, right? Or does he want to go into next year knowing that certain things will be in place and he can, be healthy? I mean, the fact is, it's not really going to. The likelihood is that any players that get it will get coronavirus, they'll get COVID-19, and they'll recover at some point. It's not going to
Right.
it's not going to hospitalize them, likely,
Right.
but there
Right.
are going to be there are outliers to that, and is it worth your career for one playoffs when they've already taken, what is it, a month and a half off? They're more likely to want to go and practice and be on the ice, I think, at this point, than they are to want to go and play playoffs. I would love to see the playoffs, mostly selfishly because the Oilers, I think, would be in any type of playoff scenario, and I miss hockey. Did you watch the UFC, by the way?
No, no, I
Yeah.
was doing other things on Saturday.
I
I
mean, I
caught a
watched
little.
some of it.
I caught a little bit of the actually. Sportsnet One yesterday was showing the first Oiler game of the year, the Oilers and Canucks, and
Oh yeah.
just before that, they showed McDavid's whatever it takes again. So
Oh, right on. Yeah. The thing is yeah, I watched a couple of the fights, and I didn't really didn't bother me that there were no fans in there. There was the guy that's pointing out to the stands. Nobody knows what he's pointing at, but I mean, I yeah, I want things to go back to normal. Today I was thinking a lot about it. I want people to be able to go back to their jobs. I want a lot of things for this world. And hockey, while it's still a very important part of my life and an important part of, just doing the podcast and all of the things that I enjoy, um, it's ceasing to be that important anymore to have a playoff. And so, I guess to the other point, which was the original question, they could change a number of things. I suppose I'm fine with them doing whatever they need to do to stay safe. But we're nearing the point in time where I'm just thinking, scrap it, get these guys someplace safe to practice, get on the ice. Let me get on the ice, right? Let's get our world back together and then play a new season. Scrap this one, put it in the history books as the one that we never played.
yeah, you know, when if they have to alter it, if they really have to alter the game so it's not even recognizable anymore, I I'm not really interested in that myself. Maybe I'm too much of a Neanderthal, but I do like the physicality that's in the game, and the ability to drop the gloves and scrap if you need to, and it almost sounds like you can't even engage people, and that's not hockey anymore. You've altered it too much. Just for what? I don't, and if it's not even hockey anymore, I don't see people really tuning into that. I mean, we are pretty starved for good entertainment,
We
but
are, and I think that it's one of those things. We would pump our, we'd stomp our feet on the ground and we'd hit the table a couple times and then we'd get it right back into it like we always do, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, all of I really, I'm sure there are people out there, but I don't know anybody that stopped watching hockey after the lockout, or I don't know anybody who stopped watching hockey after certain rules came into effect. The reality is it's hockey, it's sport, it's it's fun to watch, and they'll modify the rules a bit, but there's no. I mean, I always say this a little bit. I bite my tongue a little bit, but there's not supposed to be any hitting in women's hockey, right? And
right.
no contact. And I say that because they have contact, so I'll give them that. But I'll watch women's hockey. I watched the Clarkson Cup on TV the other night, 2018 Clarkson Cup, and I enjoyed it. And if you were to tell me that they were going to take out hitting from the NHL, at first I might suggest to you that I wouldn't watch it, and then I'd probably tune in and get behind it. And the only thing I guess is right, like if you win if you win the Stanley Cup in a year where there's no hitting or no contact or all of these rule changes, that's the little asterisk beside it
Right. Right.
all the time. And if it happens to be your team, you know that every Flames fan in the world will be
Yeah.
jawing at you and saying, "Ah, well, you didn't do it in a regular year, right?" So that's the I guess that's the trade-off. I would definitely watch it, but again, we'll stomp our feet and say we won't, and we will. We'll tune in, right? People are watching UFC, and there's a whole bunch of people that said they wouldn't. Well, I'll give it. There were a couple of good prelim fights and a couple of good fights in the main event too. So,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I heard it was a pretty good card. I don't know. I just, you know, if the NFL was flag football and you still had those talented people out there, would you watch? Probably, but would you like it as much? I think it changes. I don't know. I like the physicality of normal playoff hockey. I could deal with a little bit of tinkering just to get through, a few more regular season games, but I don't know. I like the tug of war that's playoff hockey. That's who I am.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we've talked about this before on the podcast. Like there is nothing like Stanley Cup hockey. It is it's grueling. It's in your face. It's I guess Marchand will have to keep his tongue in his mouth. For all playoffs. Uh, so that would be a definite no. Um, You know, yeah, yeah. And Bob says on Periscope, they won't take hitting out. I mean, they won't. I don't think that they would. Mainly I'm just saying that because I would still watch it if they did, as much as I would, again, stomp my feet and say that, I'm not going to watch this. It's garbage. They're changing the game too much. I would watch it. I'd watch it because it's what we have. And it's not basketball. I hate. I know you're a basketball fan, but
Just
yeah,
watching The Last Dance, it's pretty good. Yeah.
yeah. I haven't started watching it yet. I'll have to. Do they reference any hockey players in the movie or in the documentary?
I think Gretzky makes a brief appearance.
Ah. So to change the subject because we could beat this one down. I know it's Megathread Monday. Did you watch the '84 final game last night for the
I
Stanley Cup?
I didn't last night.
Oh,
No, I
have you
actually
seen it?
almost.
Have you seen it? That like recently in recent years, have you watched the 1984 Stanley Cup winning game for the Edmonton Oilers?
By name, there's a new bunch on the block.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, first off, it was really cool, just to watch. And the Coliseum always got a bad name of being a bit of a library, but it was loud in there, and it was come playoffs though it was always really well and good spirited. A couple of things that I really missed. I can't remember his name. The old PA announcer. Do you remember his name? I miss that guy's voice. Like that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And it's not to take anything away from the new guy at Rogers, but that old guy just had that unique sound in his voice. We grew up sort of listening to him as Oilers fans, uh, calling goals and penalties and all of that. And he just had this really sort of unique. And I always thought it was one of the best PA voices in pro sports. So there was that
Yeah.
guy that was on. I missed that. A couple of things though that I noticed. The Pat LaFontaine, super young. Um, the At the end of the game, they did a little cutaway of the Oilers dressing room. So before the game was over, they announced on CBC who the Conn Smythe Trophy winner was. The game wasn't even over. There were still 2 minutes left in the game, and they'd already announced the
She's
Conn
done.
Smythe.
Yep.
Yeah, which I thought was both brave and unbelievable. And then they did a cutaway of the Oilers dressing room, and they had a couple of old, like, margarine tubs, like sunspun margarine tubs with ice that were Mark Lewis. Bob says that's the PA announcer's name. I remember now. A couple of sunspun tubs with ice in them, and these little bottles of champagne, and there was nothing, like there would be nothing like that in today's pro sports world, right? Like you are getting, like, it looks good, like it's fully catered, like they're waiting for you to get in there. There's no, uh, there might have been 20 bottles of champagne. It looked like, if that, the small bottles, and I just thought it was remarkable to see. Anyway, I tweeted it out last night because I took a picture of it, and I just couldn't believe that they would even have that. It just looked so. Well, it looked, bush league. It looked like hockey. It looked like something we would have had when we were in, midget or whatever, right? Yeah,
I mean, now when you win the cup, rooms are covered in plastic. Every guy gets their own bottle of champagne,
and
and
goggles.
yeah, usually the goggles are on, and yeah, it's
Oh man.
almost scuba gear and ready to go.
And then all the people on the ice, right? Like, you remember that? All the
That doesn't
people.
happen
Oh,
anymore either. Yeah, the
yeah.
whole stadium's on the ice.
Oh, it was anyway. It was remarkable. It was awesome. Gave me chills to watch it again. Those guys were so good. I look at that, and I love. I'm really getting an appreciation for the hockey right now, like from way back. Even though all the hooking and holding and that, and how they fought through it, and just how
Doesn't
tough
it
these
make you
guys were.
appreciate it more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I love it. Part of me, and I don't want to be that guy, but part of me wants to see that back a little bit. But then the other part of me thinks, well, it's fun to watch McDavid also fly down the right hand side at 2,000 miles an hour and score some beauties.
He almost has to fight through the same thing though. You watch him and there's three guys hanging on him, and he's going so fast. The ref doesn't call nothing. He kind of has the same shit.
Well, I would say kind of, because I watched
Yeah,
that, and
it's not as brutal, but it's
I
there.
know I know the rewinds are all, they're all playoff games. So, the referees did put the whistle away. So regular season was never quite that bad, but it was still, if I recall, and I'd have to watch some of the regular season games. I don't think it was quite the same. Um, but these guys, like, they were like ripped around, like they, you know, And it was, there was a lot of water skiing going on back then, and like if you were a ref and you were calling those games today, you wouldn't take your whistle out of your mouth. And you couldn't even let them get away with those hooks in playoff hockey. That's how bad they were. Like it was unbelievable. Fun, but unbelievable.
You get an appreciation for Messier, like how mean and nasty he actually
Oh,
was.
man. I love Messier. He is just like yeah, right? Like he's got to be the meanest guy, in the world. Absolutely. you know,
Uh,
and
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
he scared refs into not making calls.
Oh, absolutely. He's just unreal, right? Like, there's nothing not to love about Messier, and so he won the Conn Smythe that year, 2 minutes before the playoffs were even done. I will. When I saw that come up on the graphic, I just like my jaw dropped last night. I'm watching this, and there's been like they've played some really good games the past few nights. They had the '87. They had all three games of the '87 Canada Cup, which if I could go back and watch any series, that would have to be one of them. Like I can't believe just how good that KLM line was. Like there were people that had said like Makarov could have been one. Had we seen more of him, he might have been one of the best players to ever play the game, right? And I'm certain he's up there. Like there were some good Soviet players back then that we just they never got into the NHL till later in life. We never really got a good feeling for just how. I mean, I shouldn't say that. We knew how good they were, but I don't think that they got. They've lived in our
Right.
memory quite the same because, of course, well, they're Soviet. They were Soviet players at the time, which was the
Yeah.
big Red Army, big enemy. But now, like they were making some nice moves and beating some really good defensemen out there.
I've
Fun
always,
to watch.
I've always, I've always wondered what kind of numbers, if Tretiak actually had an NHL career, where he would have ended up.
Oh, absolutely. It was, um, yeah, it was just really kind of like fun to watch those guys play. And then, of course, you put Gretzky and Lemieux out there though, and you realize just, you know, uh, just how much better they were as a pair. The KLM line was great, maybe one of the better lines you'll ever see in a lifetime. But Gretzky and Lemieux on a line together.
Yeah.
Lemieux, I still, I'm a massive Lemieux fan. Like he did some things that were just to me unbelievable. That I don't know. He always seemed to lumber around, but he just end up with the puck or put it in the right spot. Or anyway, loved watching him and Gretzky play. That was just if we could go back in time, I would love to see that live.
Uh, you know, we've got a guy on our team right now who there's sort of similarities in the way he handles the puck with Mario
Oh yeah, yeah,
Leon.
Leon, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Just
mean,
that strong kind of horse. Hard to get the puck away from him when he's determined.
well, and he does some things with the puck that you can't believe that he accomplished, right? Like he's just crazy with the puck, like how he gets it done. It's
I
unbelievable.
think I think Mary was a little bit better of a stick handler, but Leon, those backhand saucer passes are unbelievable.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that who was it? Um, Desjardins? Was it? Who did he pass the puck to in the overtime game to? Oh,
David Desharnais.
Desharnais, Desjardins, Desharnais. Just his. his hockey sense, everything about him. I mean, we do we really know? Like, even when we've had losing teams, we've had amazing players, right? On the Oilers, like we've just been lucky enough to have some serious talent come through Edmonton. And
Um, well, if it wasn't for Alish Hemsky and Ryan Smith for about a 4 or 5 year stretch, I don't think they would have been worth watching. But those two guys, even if we were losing games, I would watch them. I mean, Alish was so gifted stick handling. The guy could stick handle in a phone booth, and when he would come back for the puck and circle inside the blue line. From blue line to blue line, he was a pretty fast player.
let me ask you this, because I know you're a Hemsky fan as well as a Smith fan. And I was a Hemsky fan as well, just maybe not as big as everybody else, because I always felt like we never got the best, like the absolute best from Alish Hemsky. Do you have that feeling? Like, I just think that he had the
Yeah.
tools and the skill to win the Art Ross. I thought even one time, remember Gretzky said he might be one of the best players in the league, right, or the best player in the league, I think. And
Well, I think Alish's biggest attribute is, his ability to see people and see the ice. He was a pass first guy, and he was always looking to dish to somebody. And he never really played with anybody that was just a straight shooter. He never really did that. Like his whole Oiler career, he never was on the ice really with anybody that was a gunslinger, and that's really what he needed. Um, yeah, he could dangle, and he kind of like Nuge had a wicked wrist shot and accurate, but he was always looking to distribute. That was who he was. He scored some beautiful goals, yeah, but he was a distributor, and you need to give him somebody. If you would have put like Ovechkin out with Hemsky, it would have been unreal. He needed a pure shooter. That's what Alish needed.
yeah, yeah, no, I get you there. The Bob is quoting Don Cherry
Cherry,
saying,
yeah,
yeah, Hemsky the best 19 goal scorer in the NHL.
yeah,
Hemsky was the first time I asked the question back then was, how many years do you go as a guy, that is, quote unquote, the best 19 goal scorer in the NHL before you just, put your hands up and say that's all he is, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, um, because I mean, there's potential. I mean, we've had guys with potential go through the Oilers that never amounted to anything. The one that I can think of probably had the most potential that just didn't seem to care defensively was Robbie Schremp.
right.
I mean, that guy, he had unbelievable hands and offensive skill. Um, but just I, he couldn't. He didn't get it. He just didn't understand it. I don't think. I don't know what it was.
I think with Shrimp there might have been a little bit of a problem with foot speed too.
Well, yeah, it could have been, but like, there's no doubt the natural talent on that guy was there. I
Yeah,
just don't know that he had the drive and the determination.
right.
And
I mean, you
so,
can work on your skating, right?
yeah, I mean, Yakupov's the same thing, right? Like, there's a guy that had the talent to be better than he was. I really don't know. Maybe he might have been a bit overhyped coming out of junior. But still, at some point, you have to call it for what it is and say, a guy is exactly what he ended up being, right? Like, he's never any more than that. I'm not trying to get on Hemsky. I liked Hemsky. I loved watching him play, and that time when he came back after that, who missed the who missed the empty net, and then Hemsky came back and
Patrick Stefan.
yeah, that was to me one of the best Oilers goals that and clutch goals that we've seen in our generation, right? Like it was just outstanding, and Hemsky gave us a lot of good memories. There's no doubt there. It was sad to see him go when he went, and of course we had Smitty on the team back then too. He was all right.
Not too bad, yeah.
Yeah.
That Patrick Stefan thing, that whole sequence, Ray Ferraro's call on that will stick in my head till the day I die. It's freaking hilarious. It's the funniest thing. And he was right, Patrick Stefan, you shouldn't be embarrassed. That play does not belong in the National Hockey League. Oh man.
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed that.
And I
Yeah.
think it was like a week later, his career, that was it. He was done.
Well, I mean, we talked about Salo, right? As a goalie, not coming back. There are things that define your career, and sometimes you're just not going to come back from it. Yeah. I love now that I've never really thought about what you got behind you there, but you've got Gretzky, Yakupov, McDavid, and Hemsky.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
guys we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. The Yakupov. I feel like I'm in a Sesame Street. One of these people is doing their own thing. Oh man, that's
These things is not like the other.
that's
One of
right.
these
Yeah,
things just doesn't belong.
and it bugs me that Yak wore my number 10. I'm a big fan of number 10.
I think he wore like 64 too.
Did he? Yeah, because he switched, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I number 10 will be if I had was ever lucky enough to make it anywhere, that would have been my number.
There you go.
Brett
Yes.
Brett's getting excited today. He's got a topic he wants to discuss. He's got some
Oh, here we
more
go.
state the ref decisions that we're gonna do. So if you're tuning in tonight, you're gonna want to check out Rip the Ref because I know Brett's gonna have some fun tonight. You've been practicing your reading up on your rule book.
No, no.
Good, good. I'd be disappointed in you if you were.
Yeah, yeah. I
Now,
sometimes do.
do they have to I know Brett wouldn't know this, but I mean, do they have to rewrite the rule book, or do they put like an addendum or a
For
subsection in if they do this COVID-19 game?
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just want to give a shout out to these guys over at World Hockey Report, and you can find them on Twitter at World Hockey and then RPT. I've thought about getting them on the show. We've talked just in Twitter DMs, but these guys, they always retweet our show. And like the posts, and so and I know I was thinking about it today. I'm going to set up a kind of like a Oilers podcast summit because we're one of about 150 Oilers podcasts out there.
Yeah.
Somewhere middle of the pack. Thankfully, we're not the worst. We're not the best, and
Hey now.
but we certainly get paid the least. So
Terrible.
we're definitely undervalued. But those guys, they've been really good. And if you go to them on Twitter, he's always he or she. I'm pretty sure it's a couple of guys, but they're always tweeting Federal Hockey League games stuff.
Oh, there we go.
Did you see the one where they just tweeted it? This guy at the end of a game, they win the puck off the faceoff, and he rifles the puck into the other team, like full on slap shot into the other team's bench. Now, that's not even half of it. If you watch the video, two guys from the other team jump off the bench without hesitation without hesitation. Like, that is not going to happen in the NHL or anywhere, right? I know that this is probably like that's as bad as it gets for a guy to rifle the puck in there, but we've not seen anybody jump off the bench like that, let alone two guys. And as I said, if you go to the standings of the Federal Hockey League, part of the standings have Pims there, so that tells you where it's at. Now, the guy that did that has a PTO with where the team moved. That same team that he shot the puck into the bench. Now he's got a PTO there. So I guess they liked what they saw. Go figure.
Trying to earn a contract, he'd blast a puck into their bench.
Oh man, I tell you, like, I have never seen anything like that in my life. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, check out their. Do you follow them on Twitter? These guys?
No, I'm gonna have to tune in there.
You better get on it. They're on that. They're part of that 12-ounce sports radio show. So I think those guys go live kind of around the clock. They've got a number of different radio shows. Every week I'm like hyping somebody up on here. Like, we got to have a local advertising spot or something. So I know that they probably have a big advertising budget over at World Hockey Report, much like we do. And so if you want to spend even a portion of that on the Oilers Live podcast, you're more than welcome to. It's 2 minutes away. And as I said, I knew I was going to do this. I pretty much did all the talking today. You got 2 minutes. And I know you didn't just have COVID-19 hockey on the brain. What else you got in that bag of tricks?
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully go for a skate this weekend. I'm kind of gonna get out of my fair city and venture down to Edmonton and see my girlfriend, and I'm hoping that the Ice Palace will be open and I can put in my
so
headphones.
Is there a learn to skate program there, or what's going on?
I just want to rip
chirping,
around on the ice there.
Chirping you, Mike. I'm chirping you. All right.
Honestly, I'm the most free when I'm skating, and I can listen to music, and now that it's nice, you can go to and skate in shorts and just give her. Like, I miss it. I need to be on the ice.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that. I need to. I've been practicing my stick handling, so I'm going to be really, really great at stick handling. I'm doing a lot of what do you call them? Skater exercises where you're jumping back and forth, and that. I'm gonna be in tip-top shape, but nothing like getting out there and skating. And you just use different muscles. A few different stabilizers, a few different everything. So it'll feel good to get back. In fact, I might treat myself to some new equipment or something. Maybe get the team to sponsor some new equipment.
There you go.
Yeah, they won't even pay my fees for me.
I could break down and buy new skates. Mine are only about 15 years old.
Yeah, you got Hall of Famers almost.
That's right.
I got a pair like that, some leather ones. But I play enough that I honestly, every 2 years, if I don't get new skates, they'll pretty much fall apart.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it just, you play enough games, and I sweat a lot. Bob says he's been doing remote control curls. Well, you're probably in. That's about 90%. I'm hoping.
I've been curling some Coors.
That's right. I'm hoping, Bob, that that's the case of all the folks in men's league, and then when I get back, I'll be in that much better shape. It's 9:31. And I know Brett is waiting patiently. By the way, we've been on Instagram Live tonight, and with audio. But people, they've had to look at your mug pretty much solely Mike the whole time. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
terrible.
Yep. That's what it's been like.
Is there
for
anybody
those
actually?
guys.
Is there anybody actually on Instagram there looking?
There's been a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a few people that have joined. I don't know how to tell how many people, but there's been a few. They get the back of me. I just have the video pointing at the screen. All right, we're going to take 2 minutes and get our buddy Brett on the line. Just hold on. Let's see what we can do here.
I should send you a request to be in the video on Instagram Live.
Oh yeah, do it. Double it up. We are calling Mr. Luchansky here. Whoa, there's the man.
What's up?
We're starting a little bit late. We're on. I was just saying we're on Instagram Live tonight. I don't know if you.
Oh,
knew that.
fancy!
Yeah. So
that's where all the coolest kids are.
You bet. We gotta do this right though. We can't do Rip the Ref segment without the Rip the Ref intro. So guys, just hold on. Let's get a little Rip the Ref intro going. And now, Rip the Ref with Brett Luchansky. You've never even heard the intro, have you, Brett? Have you heard it?
I have.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I have.
It's just this little like it's this little free audio clip that I have that's really like 2 or 3 beats. It's like and every time I hear it, I just want to jam a little bit like of this. I'm like right into it. And I haven't, and it took me hours and minutes to do the intro. And so I put all that time into it. I didn't even cut the music off. Like if I let it go, it would just go for like 5 minutes. But I have to cut it off every time. I really probably should. I should do it. I should change it up and have it. So Bob says he can't wait. He can't wait till I release the soundtrack, the Rip the Ref soundtrack, all the greatest hits from the Rip the Ref. All the greatest hits. Blue Jays. We're in the Blue Jays. Think ball's going to start on time this year?
Start when?
On time?
I don't know. On time? No,
They're
I don't know.
talking Canada Day, right? Canada Day.
I have no idea, man, anymore. They keep coming up with all these crazy things that they are going to try and do, but they don't ever seem to really move forward on them. Like the NHL, I don't know if you guys were talking about what that Rashog
stop for
thing
a second.
from earlier today.
You were not sitting there listening to our show?
I was not. I was not listening the whole hour. No.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh man.
I'm hurt.
I have bath times and shower times and bedtime stories to read before I come on with you guys. So.
All right. Okay. I'm glad you added in the rest of that there because we didn't need to. We don't need you listening to us when you're in the bath. That's just a big no-no. Anybody out there that's in the bath, turn us off right now. Turn this off. This is not bath time viewing. Yeah, we talked about that. That's kind of old news on the pod already.
Yeah,
what's your thought?
I read some of that stuff, and I don't know what you guys thought about it, but I read a couple of those points, and I was just like, why? Like, don't even bother. Like saying, oh yeah, you guys aren't allowed to do scrums. Like, well, you're not supposed to do scrums anyway. Like, it happened. Like, you're not going to be able to shut it down. There's no way.
You think they'd rewrite the rule book though for that? Like, what would
what would they have to do? Like, make like some serious penalties for being in a scrum?
Yeah,
what are you going to start giving out, like, to deter it? Like 2 and 10s for everyone who's in one? Like, it just doesn't make any sense, right, at all. Or like saying how, like, what was the other one? Like, when on the face-offs, the wingers can't be close to each other when they line up. But throughout the whole game, the rest of the game, they will be. And when they sit on the bench, they'll be right shoulder to shoulder. Like, it just doesn't...
To me, it's a little bit ridiculous. You're going to test these guys to clear them to play, but then you're going to, I don't know. It just.
Well, I think Wershaw made that pretty clear. Like that information was coming from just like a doctor guy, not like a
Bill
hockey
Daly.
guy.
It was from Bill Daly.
Yeah, but it was recommendations from an. I can never say it. Epidemic.
Yeah, like from a doctor
from
who's
a
not
doctor.
thinking of. He's not thinking of how it's going to work from the hockey side. He's just saying like, this is what you could do.
Epidemiologist, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Epidemiologist. Bloody hell! This is not some lesson in talking
Well, and like
English here.
I read an article a couple days ago, Mike, and I told you I wanted to get your opinions on it because you guys both play and I ref.
I warned Mike that you had some topics to talk about tonight.
It looks like he's got lots of homework there.
Not just the
I'm bringing
usual
notes.
airheaded ref stuff that he usually talks about. Well, before now that we're talking about that, I don't know. Do you think Mom Luchansky's listening tonight?
I don't know. Maybe. Once you call me, I can't see anything anymore.
See. So if you're out there, because I saw that you listened to your boy Brett.
And Susan's mom, yeah, she's listening.
Oh, is she? Good. Happy Mother's Day to Mom Luchansky. I hope she had a great day, and well, I mean, your son's a ref, and we're all right with that. We accept. We accept.
Yeah, me and my son, we went over there to give a little gift and stand on the sidewalk, and we went in the backyard and talked for a while. But I know it's been tough. So he hasn't been over there, and they haven't got to see him like they normally do. And I'm sure that's the same with lots of people, but we still made a visit yesterday. So.
Oh, good. Well, we hope Susan, we hope you had a great Mother's Day, and thanks for tuning in. And I'll get these. We'll get these released and put on iTunes so that you can listen anytime. We'll even try to get Brett to have more words than he normally does. I always tell Mike I'm going to shut up a little bit, but I never do. That's a threat, you guys. Dead air. It's the real thing. All right, let's go to the notes.
Okay, so this was from a couple days ago. I was on Sports Illustrated.
Just
I saw it on Twitter.
Hold on. We got a message on the chat from a Susan Luchansky, unconfirmed if this is your mother or not. She says, "Thank you. Yes, he's an awesome son and a great ref."
There you go.
That is good. That's good. Thanks. All right. Okay. Sorry. You go ahead now. Sorry. I had to interject there.
So this was from Sports Illustrated. It's an article about in Florida, some private arenas are going into their phase of reopening. And the guy was talking about how he kind of has to reopen his arena because he's got, I forget what it said. It was like $15,000 a month for utility bills. And he can't stay closed. So beyond the normal, concessions only behind plexiglass and all that kind of stuff, there was some stuff that they're trying to put in for their men's league, kind of before, during, and after games to try to help things, I guess. And they're different than the ones in that other tweet that we were talking about before. So I'm going to list them off, and then I can give you what I think, and maybe I'll get you guys, because I want to hear what you think as players too, because some of them don't really affect me as an official. So the first one was they're going to want the refs to wear masks and use electronic whistles. So my feeling on that one, the first bullet point is if you're telling me I got a ref with a mask on, I don't think I'm going to do it. I can't. How am I going to skate and breathe into a mask for an hour and a half? I get the electronic whistle. It's one less thing that's going to your face and stuff in your mouth, but the mask, and it doesn't say anything about players wearing any different kind of thing on their face. visor or cage doesn't seem to really like. I don't get that one really at all. Here's another good one. So the second one is players will be asked to dress at home as much as possible and arrive only 15 minutes early to their game.
Oh man.
No
like minor
showering
hockey
after,
again.
and must leave 15 minutes after your ice time is over.
No showering. There's a lot of
showering.
men. A lot of men won't be allowed to go home to their wives. I'll tell you that.
And then, well, every person entering will answer questions about symptoms, etc., and we'll have a temperature check, which is happening lots of places now. Like I do that at work every morning.
Do you really?
I have to answer the same 5 questions, and I get my temperature, like one of those touchless temperature things.
And the same one that's touched everybody else that morning.
everyone that reports to one of our buildings or sites is doing that now.
Yeah.
And then it says ice times will be spaced out 45 minutes to allow rooms, benches, everything else to be sprayed with disinfectant mist and cleaned. And they'll utilize all 4 dressing rooms, so teams will use 2 dressing rooms each. So, and my question would be, would you want to play under these conditions? And for me, reffing, like I said, in a mask, makes no sense to me if players are just wearing their normal visor cage. And I can understand electronic whistle. I don't know what those are, how they sound.
Yeah, I might have lost there.
I'd have to Google that, but
it's like a Jeopardy thing. I think you just touch the
really
button and the whistle goes off.
But and really, my last thing that I wrote was, you can do all this stuff before the game, but like really during the game, like physical distancing is impossible. So I don't know, like you're gonna have 2 rooms and you're gonna have spread out, and then everyone's gonna go sit on the bench shoulder to shoulder. It's like in men's league, maybe not. You might only have 1D and there's 2 extra forwards most times.
One player in the NHL that would love that, Johnny Gaudreau. He's all over that. He's
physical distancing.
Yeah.
But like, what do you guys think? Because like a lot of this stuff isn't really for refs. It's like you're showing up right before your game and you're leaving right after. Like half the point of, or half the reason guys play beer league hockey is more for the camaraderie and the stuff than it is about the hockey. Like it might be half and half. So I mean, if you show up and leave right away and then you're in and out, like would you even want to do it under all this?
Yeah, it's a good question, Mike.
I've gotten dressed plenty of times in the car in minor hockey, but I wasn't driving.
Yeah, you get fully dressed, just put on your skates when you get there.
I will tell you what I'm famous for.
Full gear driving to the rink in Florida?
Yeah,
right.
Because I play on a few different teams during the winter season, I'll have a couple of back-to-back games. I'll usually have one a week where I will kind of get half undressed from one game and run out to the car and show up with my gear on for the next game at the other arena. So I'm kind of used to that, but that's just because I don't have time to do both, right? So that I could deal with, but it would feel a little bit weird, like back in minor hockey. I'm just wondering, like, my dad's not alive anymore. He wouldn't be allowed to come in and tie my skates. So, I'd probably have to tie my own skates and stuff. I'm not sure I like that too much. If I'm going to go in with my gear on and yeah. If you're like, I'm not, you can't take everything out of hockey. Like it's a sport. So, and it's physical and if it stops being physical, then it's not that fun anymore. So like I think if you're gonna play, you're gonna risk getting the virus, and doesn't matter what they put in place. So maybe the full face shield might be the only thing. I'm kind of like, I sweat a lot, so they always fog up on me. So I'm sure I'd probably get plastered on the wall once or twice during a game because I can't see where the hell I am. But
well, and I'm sure, like I'm not a medical expert, but like just wearing one of those bubble things, I don't think that really stops.
No.
If you are expelling things, it's not going to stop it unless it's like modified to do that. So I don't even know if it might help, but I don't think it's definitely not a fix for it. So like, I don't know. You can't, it's not a sport that you can do it. Like golf, tennis, you can kind of see it. Like they're kind of by themselves. You can see how it could be done. But like sports like hockey and basketball and football, like it's just not doable. I don't think. So like for me, I would want to get back out there and reffing just as much as the next guy, and you guys want to play. But like under these, if this was how like strict it was going to be to try to make it safer, I don't think I'd probably just want to wait it a little longer. I don't think wouldn't be for me.
I hear you.
So just a little word. We are now off of Instagram Live. I guess I ran out of time on there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you can only go an hour. That kicks you off.
Wow.
I seem to remember one of the Oilers Nation things that happening to them.
Like people, when they tune in, they want to listen for the full 2 hours. Imagine all the disappointed folks, all the disappointed folks on Instagram right now. Wow. It's like, can't,
I
feel
thought
personally
that was
responsible
interesting,
now.
that article from Florida, because this guy needs to reopen, and so he's trying to do as much as he can.
Well, by the way, we were talking about this earlier because I was saying, like, I'm at the point too where I want life to be back to normal, right? Like, I would love to, and frankly, like I'm doing well, right? Like life has been good for me. We've got everything we could possibly want here. The family's together. We're all healthy. We're staying fit. We live in an area that's right by the river and lots of walking area, and it's not too crowded just by the nature of where we're at. So we've kind of got the best of everything. But there's, you really lack the social part of your life and the hockey part and all of those things. And, I'm at this point where I'll take certain things in order to get some semblance of normal back, I guess. And so, and I told Mike earlier, while we would probably stomp our feet at the thought of having hockey players line up 2 feet away from each other at a face-off, we'd probably still tune in, right?
Yeah.
And we'd love to say we won't, and I referenced the lockout before, right? Like people said they weren't going to watch hockey anymore. I don't know anybody that doesn't, was a hockey fan before. There's the guys that weren't hockey fans before that after the lockout, they said, well, I don't watch it. Well, you didn't watch it before, so nothing's changed, yeah. Right? But everybody that watched hockey before the lockout, they watched after. And the same's going to go in this instance. We just, anything and everything we can get as a closer step back to reality. I get it. I worry for those at high risk, those people in our lives that are at high risk, and all of those people. If we can do it responsibly and maybe get some of that back, then let's do it. I guess if I could get on the ice and do some skating and have some fun and play some hockey, even just pass the puck around, I'd be happy to do it. If I knew that, I wasn't going to contribute to furthering the spread of this virus or, putting some people at risk in my life or in anybody's life, anybody that's at risk, right? So I would get out there if I had. I would want to think about it, though. I'd want to really sort of put my thinking cap on and say, if I do this, am I, I guaranteed, I would suspect that if I ever got, coronavirus or anybody in my family, we'd probably recover just fine. We're not in a high-risk demographic. But it's not about us, right? Like it's about everybody else that's at risk. And so I need to think about it and weigh those pros and cons out before I really said no. But if I knew that I could do it and not put other people at risk, then hell yeah, I'm getting out there. Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
That's okay. You're always 6 feet behind anybody anyway, right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Oh, man. It's a good thing Instagram's over.
I didn't even have that one written down anywhere.
I did. Jeez. I got to get this on delay so that I can hit the
Edit that out, eh?
edit
Hit the dump button.
yeah. He didn't just say that. Damn it. Oh.
I guess being 6 feet behind anybody is better than being the Vegas hangover for a big game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was still processing that.
I was saying to my wife, like, we came back like right at the beginning of all that.
That's
we
right.
were all sick when we got back. Like, I don't even know what.
Well, maybe you already had the virus.
We called and they said not to go. Like, we called the number and we told them where we were and what we were happening to us, and they told us not to go anywhere. Like, don't go test it yourself or whatever. So we didn't. But now I think back and I'm like, I don't know. We didn't have all those things, but we had some of those things.
Right.
Like, who knows, man?
Maybe you had it.
Yeah, they do think.
I'd be
there's
curious
a ton
to know,
of people
but...
that they do think there's a ton of people that had it and just didn't know. Right? I mean, it's quite possible.
So I was just trying to help you guys out. That's why I didn't come.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's right. Well, we'll be back. I mean, that's at the end of the day, everything, at some point, we're all going to be back and playing hockey and doing stuff. There's going to be changes no matter what we do, right?
That is wild, Michael. You were reaching back there and your arm disappeared in your the green screen. That was wild.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
It probably took me a couple episodes to figure out that wasn't your real basement.
It would be
I said, man,
cool
this guy's got a setup. Look at this guy's basement. Like, this guy's really into it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And I think I saw a picture of you on Twitter and your rowing machine in your basement. It looks like mine with the plastic wrap on the
That's
wall
right. It's
studs.
unfinished. Yep.
And then it clued it to me that it wasn't real.
I did, though, however, get that the background picture made for me. It's a 3D rendering, of course, and I didn't want to. When I first did it, I didn't want to have a copyright picture there, and so I picked the jerseys that I wanted in the background, and little things like the Stanley Cups and stuff like that, and made it as close to locker room as I could get it done. So it is one of a kind. You will not find that background anywhere but on the Oilerslive podcast, which is now streamed for only 1 hour on Instagram. Oh, man. But we made it.
So I have a couple leftover questions. I don't have any new ones, but I have a couple that we didn't go through if you want to do that.
Absolutely.
How are you feeling? I got 3, so maybe you can go 2 for 3.
All right. We should be keeping score here, Mike. I mean, I'm probably well in the lead, but we should why don't we just spot me the 10 or so that I'm up and say it's like 15-5 or something right now. That sounds about right, doesn't it?
If that makes you feel better.
All right, we'll start from
I'd
scratch
say,
here.
Dursa, if you're bringing your skates to Edmonton this week, I wouldn't count on skating on any indoor ice, buddy.
Yeah.
I've been working by that
it.
mall, and there's no traffic there. I don't even think the doors are open.
Well, they're opening on Thursday, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah, I think so. I
The
think
mall?
the malls are open
As a whole?
on Thursday. Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought the mall would have been in like phase whatever, 2 or 3, if rec centers aren't in the first one.
Oh man, Bob just chirped you. He says at least you got the good hour in on Instagram. Oh, wow. He's a goalie though. Yeah.
No, here's the first question about Bob then.
All right. Okay. Here's the one about Bob.
What is the determining factor for the goalie receiving a minor penalty for a illegal player? A, puck over the blue line, puck over the red line, goalie can play it anywhere, or D, puck over the ringette line, top of the circles.
Oh, geez. I thought the goalie could play it anywhere.
Anywhere on the ice.
I'm probably totally wrong on that. I mean, I grew up playing lacrosse, so I'm used to the goalie coming out, being part of the power play. I'll let you field this one, Mike, while I look it up on Google.
Google it.
While I Google it. You know what? I'm just going to go with what I thought the rule was, even though I'm guessing it's wrong because of this question. So I'm going to say the goalie can play anywhere.
I'm going to say you can't go play it beyond the blue line.
0 for 2. Red line.
Red line.
Oh. Red line. Center.
So if we got Dana Lehman, your ref replacement, is on, and he didn't know the right answer. Wow, Dana. Wow. We know who the head ref is for Oilerslive Cup now.
Are your goalies in Oilerslive Cup? Are they circling the point and going all the way down the ice? Or what?
They might. All
Skate
I
in
know
off
is this.
breakaway and fire it home.
Wow. All right.
So the goalie can't play the puck over the red line.
Wow.
He can't touch the puck. Or if the puck's over the red line, he can't touch it. Which probably not going to happen that often.
No. Have you ever called that? Ever made that call?
No. I've never had to see that. I've never seen a goalie try to go that far. But like the goalie, you've seen goalies come pretty far out, definitely across top of the circles.
What if it gets,
try to race for it?
Is the rule that he has to play the puck, or like what if it's shot at him, much like we were talking about the too many men? It's shot at him. He's changing past the red line.
Well, I would say he'd have to play it,
like actually
on purpose.
Okay.
Like I think the only time you could really see this is like, let's say you're pulling your goalie in the second period on a delayed penalty. He might be actually on the other side of red trying to get to the gate, right?
Yep.
To get off.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And the puck comes to him, and instead of it, like he wants to keep it for his team, so he just like shoots it back to them. Like that would be the only time that I could kind of see this happening. Like, I don't think he's going to try and skate it out past the red line, but like.
But if it just hits his pad as he is skating off,
I would think you wouldn't. That wouldn't count. Deflect it off of him if they got shot at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has to try to like make a play on it.
Yeah, it's not clear in the rule book, or you don't know.
I didn't write that part down. This is questions from the old test, so it just has the answers, but I don't know if it would be that specific or not. It might say possession.
SRD, Brett.
Well, I'm telling you what my SRD is. I'm saying I would call it if he has possession past the red line, I would say it's a penalty. If it just deflects or bounces off him and he's not really he's just trying to get off, then I wouldn't call it.
Yeah, interesting. Bob thought it was an automatic 2-minute if the goalie crosses center for any reason. But that's...
Well, Bob, it's 4.11E. So you can search that up real quick.
Look it up. Look it up. 4.11E. I will
my
reference
next one's
that.
about, I think it's about Mike. There's a close offside call. Mike, who was the player offside, is very upset. The linesman is bent over and about to pick up the puck when Mike intentionally takes the puck with his stick and shoots it down the ice. SRD.
Okay, so what? Sorry, repeat. What happened?
Offside.
Yeah.
Mike's upset, like he usually is, about everything.
Yeah, Tersa.
And the linesman's like, bent down to pick up the puck, so he's almost got it in his hand. Mike, you reach in, take the puck, and shoot it away down the ice.
Oh, I answered the last one first. It's your turn.
Somehow I think it's
I can
gonna
give you here. I'll give you A, 2 minutes on sportsmanlike. B, 10-minute misconduct. C, 2-minute minor plus a 10. Or D, they must get a warning the first time and misconduct the second time.
I'll go with 2 and a 10.
Yeah. I would say just 2, but you'd probably get that warning anyway. Would be my thought.
Yeah. So it's actually just a 10.
Okay.
And the way it's worded is linesman or referee official is going to retrieve the puck and you intentionally shoot it away from them. So it doesn't even have to be he's bent down and almost picking it up. Like you could just be going to get it and you skate over there and wire it the other way or something.
Now there's some discretion on that too.
There's some
like
discretion
probably,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. A lot of times you might not go straight to 10. Like for me, I'd have to be really sure.
Yeah.
Right. Like sometimes guys are just upset and they just shoot it into the boards or whatever. Right.
Never.
So in this situation, I think I'd be pretty sure. I was almost right there to grab it, and then he took it away. And maybe when I called the offside, he was like irate and yelling and mad at me. And then I go to get the puck, and then he takes it and shoots it away. Then
now, if
you're more sure of it.
And or if at any point a guy does that and accidentally hits you with the puck, you just toss him?
Well, accidentally.
And it was an accident, but it's kind of like the slamming your stick sort of thing, and you hit somebody who you didn't expect was there.
Yeah, you're still not supposed to be doing that.
Right.
I don't know if I'd kick him out. Depends on how hard and where it hit me, I guess. I'm thinking if it hits me, I'm going to be going with the 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Minimum. And then we'll see.
So here's a question for you, because real life, this guy gets hooked. He's skating around the other players, the other team's net. Gets hooked, 80s style NHL hook. Rips him around, and the skater was protecting the puck with one arm, and out. So handoff stick, but the ref calls the skater, the puck mover, with holding the stick, which it clearly wasn't. And then the skater turns around and shoots the puck in anger and hits the goalie in the back of the legs. What would you call there? I'll tell you what I got.
The skater. Yeah. Wow, you're getting what he had you for 2 for holding the stick already,
which was crap. That's why I shot the puck after.
Okay, so you still probably picked up that, and to me, I don't know. I probably wouldn't want to give another 2 and put your team down 4 for that. So I might go to 10 for that.
Oh, good call. He did put me in for 4. Bastard.
I try not to put teams down extra penalties when it's one person on their team doing stuff.
I didn't mean to hit the goalie in the back of the legs.
No,
but
that's what made you think of it when you said you spin and you hit the ref. You're not trying to, but you're also not supposed to spin and just shoot the puck blindly somewhere.
Yeah,
and hit somebody.
And what happened in that instance was I was going around the net, and I had my, I was protecting the puck. I had my arm out, right? And, going around. And I was sure when the whistle blew, I thought that the ref called the penalty on the other guy for hooking. And then when he called my number and jersey color, I mean, I saw red and I just shot the puck. And as soon as it hit the back of the goaltender's legs, I remember, it's that sort of dreaded moment where you're like, oh, shit, like you can't, he's not going to
Jeez,
let
you're
that
doing
one
that.
get
You
away.
better look up and look who's coming for you.
Oh, yeah, no. I find people are less likely to come after me at 6'5" than
That's true.
if it's a little guy, they're a little bit,
I will
little
say though,
rowdy.
like when the offensive player does have his one hand off and he's kind of defending,
Yeah.
like not defending, but like, yeah, I know exactly what the situation you're talking about. As a ref, it is a lot harder to decide what's what there.
Yeah,
Because
I
now you
get
got
it.
one glove there, and you got the defenseman stick in there, and is it hooking? Is it holding the stick? Like it just makes it that much, a little bit more difficult to see, especially depending on what side you're on of the ice, to see what it was, right? And so, like whenever that hand comes off on the offensive player, it does make it more difficult.
My whole team knew it was the wrong call.
Well, of course.
I mean, we
Like I
were
don't know,
pretty
like
much
during this
100%.
this restrictions debate, like why don't I just stand at the players' bench and ref the game? Because everything is seen from there perfectly,
That is so true. It's good.
right?
That is
Just give me like a
insightful.
little stool, like so I can stand a little higher than see over everything. I'll just call the game from there.
Wow, that's insightful. Love it. I love it. That's the new. That's the new way. All right, you got one more for us. You got a third.
One more.
SRD.
This one's about. Oh man, this one's about Mike. You too, Mike. E-Bear. Mike doesn't understand how penalties work.
So tough.
He leaves the penalty bench early. While he's on the ice, his team scores. SRD. So imagine a situation where,
I think we've
I
had
don't know.
something a similar one to this.
like let's say, you know how when it goes 5-on-3 and then you take another one?
Yeah.
Then when the first penalty expires, can't let someone out right away?
Yeah.
So, but let's say you go. You just open the gate and you go out. And then, like right after you get on the ice, you kind of are skating around, and then your team scores.
And obviously, no official on the ice saw until after. Were you notified by the other team, or?
Yeah, like so. I don't know. Like, yeah, we didn't get whistled down when you jumped out of the bench, the penalty box.
Yeah.
And let's say it happened right after you got out. Like you just, you were on the ice, but it wasn't like it went around for a long time, and then your team scored.
Oh, and this isn't an instance of leaving the bench early or the penalty box early. You're not supposed to leave the penalty box at all until the next whistle.
Yeah, like you left when you weren't supposed to. Your team's still supposed to be shorthanded by 2 people in this situation.
Dursa?
I'm going to say no goal.
I'm reading body language here. I'm going to have to go with no goal, too.
Forget.
That head nod. Yeah.
The head nod there.
It is no goal, but you missed something. Mike left the penalty box on his own. He opened the gate and went out. He wasn't directed to leave by the timekeeper or anything. So we're going to disallow the goal. We're going to put Mike back in the box, and we're going to give him another 2 minutes for leaving the penalty box when he's not supposed to.
Stupid refs.
Now, there's a little difference here. If the timekeeper wasn't clear, so I would have to go ask the timekeeper what happened.
Yeah.
Did you tell him he could go? Did you not say anything and he just went? That's not very clear. Or did you say, no, you can't go, and he just opened the gate anyways and left? That would be, I'm going to put you back in for 2 more. The other 2, I'd probably give you the benefit of the doubt. And the goal doesn't count, but you don't get that extra 2. We just start the game again from where we are.
when you ref games in Edmonton, there's probably not door guys, right? So that probably
No.
does happen on occasion, hey?
There's one timekeeper. So our timekeepers are pretty good. So like they should know to explain those situations. But that's what I would go and ask exactly. What were the instructions to Mike here? Did you say like explicitly like no, you can't leave. You still have two guys, and he's just like nah, f you, and just went out. Well, then that's the extra two. If he weren't sure, but the timekeeper never really said either way, then I'd probably say, well, no goal, but I'm not going to put you back in there.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The where does the time just goes from whistle? Like carries on from whistle, and the next, if you were to give that extra penalty, it would start at that
Start
whistle?
right away.
Yeah. Okay. What could happen during that time? I guess that would. I mean, everything would still. It's just still regular play, I guess, right? And then, other than the
now, like
penalty,
let's say
right?
you came out early, and then now you're on the ice, and now it's 5-on-4, but it's supposed to be 5-on-3, and like I notice, and you haven't scored.
You just blow it down.
I would blow it down.
Would you still ask the timekeeper if?
And then I'd still go and ask what happened and why you came out early and see what the deal was.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
So if that was the case, would he be assessed another 2 minutes if he kind of did that on his own volition?
And there was no goal? Like we noticed? Yeah,
or
if he came out on like his he didn't listen or thought he's going to be an illegal, or I think it just goes down as like leaving the penalty bench early. It's that 2 minutes back in for another 2.
Right. Plus whatever was left.
Spend my whole night in there.
Well, yeah, you're shooting pucks at goalies and refs, and then you're leaving the players' box. Now, if you shoot the puck at a ref on purpose, if you hit him or not, and you can tell that it was meant for the ref, then that's a match unofficial.
Yeah, you shouldn't even be playing the game.
Because that's not right. Like I've got a broken hand from a dump in that wasn't on purpose. So if you wire a puck at a guy that's not wearing like nearly half the stuff that everyone else is out there, like it's just not right at all.
Yeah.
Have you seen Youngblood, Brett?
No.
Watch that. Watch Hewitt take a slap shot right at Hannah.
He's always had HD TV growing up, so he's probably never seen it.
That's not true.
He's not. He doesn't know what the standard def is. He's got no idea.
Yeah.
Youngblood was standard def. It's way before his time.
No. We had VCRs.
VCRs?
The first TV we had in the
Cassettes?
basement was like a little 12-inch color TV. I can still remember it.
It was color. That's good. Cassettes? Did you have cassettes?
Yeah, I remember having a cassette, like a Walkman, and then a Discman.
Yeah, Discman.
And then they came out with the Discman Anti-Shock.
Oh,
that was a game changer. You could actually walk and carry your CD thing.
I thought that was just for kids in Riverbend. I grew up in Mill Woods. We didn't have that. There was no anti-shock. You just had to make sure you had it tied to you so nobody stole it from you.
That's funny too. I remember my first MP3 player in like high school. It was like this little triangular thing. It like fit like a AA battery, and it was 128 megabytes.
Oh.
Was the storage space. So it was about 30 songs. So you'd actually have to pick which ones to put on and take off every once in a while.
Yeah,
you couldn't just add and just keep filling it up.
Teaches
like,
you
like
scarcity,
or whatever.
Right?
Yeah, you had to actually choose.
Oh man, those are some rough times. Could you imagine our kids growing up with that? 128 megabytes. It's unreal. It's unreal. You've lived through that. You have you survived that, Brett.
I know.
That's
and now my kid's 5 and he uses my old iPhone.
Yeah, and it's it's more powerful than my first computer.
I'm still waiting for my Apple IIe to boot up here so I can play a game.
Yeah, I love the Apple IIe. Oh man. Yeah. Have you been at least enjoying some of the old hockey that's been on that you never saw before? Have you been taking any of that in, like the '87 Cup, the Canada Cup? Did you watch any
I
of
didn't
that?
watch any of those this weekend.
Okay, you need to. Can you
you
have?
know, like,
do you have? What do you got? Like for TV at home, you got something where you can go and hit the rewind button and rewatch or replay those, even though they've passed.
I don't know. I don't know if they have them on again or whatever. I didn't record them when they were on.
Oh, this Bob says this is like stories of the Depression. Yeah, that's right. The Great Depression. That's right. We've lived through it all, Bob. We've lived through it all. Bob's the oldest one of the four of us. He's like, oh man. he's probably still got some 8-tracks.
But no, when this first when hockey was postponed or whatever, NHL, I was watching some of those games here and there, but it's gone on so long that I just moved on to doing other things, I guess, not watching them anymore. If I do, it's on in the background, and I'm not going to sit and watch the whole thing for 2 whatever hours they play them for.
Well, I mean,
I saw a lot of chatter
of
about that Canada Cup on Twitter, and Mario Lemieux and Gretzky and all those guys on one team. But no, I never seen it, never watched it.
If you had tuned into the first hour of the show tonight, there was some good talk about the '87 Cup. You
87, 87. What month?
I have no idea.
Was I even born yet?
I don't know. Yeah,
depends on what month it was.
Depends on what month. That's a good question.
I think they played those in the summer, so it would have been like June, July.
No, I was still in the womb then.
Wow, that
you
was
have to ask Susan Lachansky if she's still. Did she watch it? Was I there?
You might have watched. She might have cheered.
Might have heard it through there.
Wow. Might have been playing. You might have heard it in the womb. You just never know. I don't know if she's still listening, but she's probably a lot nicer than you and listens to the whole episode.
You remember when Wayne, shook off Larry Murphy and gave it to Mario as a fetus?
August 28th to September 15th.
Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
Missed it.
Wow. Well, honestly, if you could watch anything, I think you should go back and watch that one. If you can get any of that Canada Cup series, it was a best of 3. You could skip game 1. It was still good, but you could skip game 1 and watch game 2 and game 3. But game 3 was outstanding, and watching Lemieux and Gretzky play together. Do you remember watching either? Do you remember watching Lemieux?
Yeah, because he was around NHL 94, right?
Yeah.
Still on the Penguins, 94, 95. I remember him from being in the NHL 94, 94 game.
From the
I remember Pittsburgh was a good team in that video game for sure.
Yeah.
But Gretzky, no, I don't I remember Gretzky even the end of the Kings and then whatever other teams he played on, the Rangers.
St. Louis and the Rangers. Yeah.
St. Louis, yeah. I don't have those memories of Gretzky really that much at all, actually.
Oh man, I mean, it'd be the same, I guess, when you're running some big podcast 10, 15 years from now. You're talking to some young up-and-coming ref.
About McDavid in his prime.
Yeah.
And how one of his good seasons got cut short.
Yeah. back in our day when we were all locked in. That's yeah. You're gonna be that. You're gonna be like us one day, talking about cassettes and shit. Oh man, I tell ya, it happens. It happens.
Back in my day, I remember DVDs.
DVDs. Yeah, that's what you'll say. Laserdisc. Do you remember
There you
Laserdisc?
go.
I don't think they ever did any hockey on Laserdisc. Rock'em Sock'em. Do you remember that, Brett?
Oh yeah, there
There's
must have been
probably
what, like
100
20 of them.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, I remember
do.
when they first came out, though. Like they were, it was a big
Yeah.
deal, and everybody's like, "Oh, have you seen it?" And yeah,
I bet you if we went back and watched those now, I'd almost be cringing.
oh, and
Some of those hits and stuff, you'd just be like, "Oh man, that's so bad." Guys just getting destroyed in the head and stuff.
we got Danny listening in on Facebook. He asks when's the season going to begin? Wish we knew. Wish we
Which
knew.
season? What are we talking
Yeah.
about? Rec League, NHL.
Any
I don't think either of them know.
season. Any hockey season. I was looking at Mars blades. I was thinking about buying some of those Mars blades and getting an old pair of skates revamped to some roller skates so I could get out there and looking at all these guys on the practicing their stick handling on these skates. Do you know anybody that's tried them? Do refs like practice skating ever, or is it like just how does it work?
Oh, I'm
like,
sure some do.
Go do blue line to blue line a couple times.
If you're working out to try to make it to the next level, I'm sure you do.
Yeah. No, I mean, we talked about that, right? Refs now they're
Like they
looking
have
for old professional players, right?
even like in like Hockey Alberta, there's like they call it D camp. It's development camp. I think you have to get invited, and you go and they do stuff on the ice. They time you. You do all kinds of things to try to advance.
Like a combine for refs.
Kinda, yeah.
Wow.
And I think there's some classroom portion. I think it's like a week or a weekend. I think it's a week. I don't know.
They ever check your eyesight? I'm being serious about this.
I don't know. Maybe.
He's never had his check.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm still 2020.
yeah.
No glasses for this guy.
That's right. 2020. I'm sure. We'll see. I got the guys from the rec league there. They said come out and play a game. We'll get for sure when hockey's back. I'm taking them up on that offer. I'm coming out.
You're coming up to Edmonton and play a guest spot somewhere.
You bet. Yeah. Well, I travel for hockey. Probably way more than I should. I live a mock life of a hockey player, except I pay for it. Nobody pays me to do it. But I've traveled up to Edmonton for many a game.
Well, like, what are your leagues in Calgary doing? Like that, you're all involved in. Like, are they just still just waiting, holding out hope, or have they returned your fees and said we'll try again in September? Or
yeah, so we Canlin. I play in that league, which they have one in Edmonton as well. I think ASHL they call it here. They refunded our money. I play in the Winsport League here as well, and
now, sorry, was that for summer, or was that for like the remainder of the winter that got cut off?
Winter, yeah. I think I missed out on probably like 30 games. I bet you. Like,
between all your
leagues and teams, yeah, and most of them are. You know what? I used to run one of my teams. I quit running it, just too hard to. I hate collecting money and all that shit, and so I haven't actually reached out to find out if I got a credit coming or what. I just assumed they put them towards the next season. There was talk early on that they might go and play some summer, like a little bit of a modified, kind of like the NHL, a modified league. But yeah. That's
So I haven't heard much from the league that I work in, other than just kind of waiting to see what the province, when they open up the rinks and stuff. But I mean, rinks were listed in the last phase here in Alberta, so it doesn't bode well for any summer. I really don't think. Like, I can't see it. Like, maybe August?
Yeah.
So what would that look like? Like, what are you gonna play a couple games? Like, it's not. I don't know. At that point, would you just try to wait, or would you just kind of start your winter season a little earlier in August?
Yeah, I mean, I
But I
think
don't.
that
I have
they
no
need
idea
to
about
start it as
teams
soon
if
as
they paid
possible,
their
right?
fees, if they
Yeah.
got refunded, or if I'm sure they'd give them a credit if they wanted to just keep their team. But I know a lot of people could probably use their money back right now, depending on their own situation during all this stuff. So I was just curious.
I know one of the leagues has refunded our money. I don't know about the other ones. I haven't seen the money yet, though. I know it's going towards the whenever the next season, whether it's summer or winter. Is that though? That's confirmed. So this brings up the question: if the rinks are on the last phase, do you think they make a special exemption if they Edmonton could host NHL?
Oh, yeah, I feel like that's something completely different because the NHL has so much more resources and stuff they can do to mitigate their situation. I don't think they'd be lumped in the same rules as like Terwilliger Rec Center or city arenas, right? Like
Yeah.
the NHL's got a bunch of money. They can put up this. They can get their own tests and get the results, the next day. They can pay for all that kind of stuff. So I feel like they'd be a whole different thing. They have to submit some big plan, I'm sure, to the health authority and get it all taken care of. But I feel like it wouldn't be.
So
it would be exempt from the phases or whatever.
back to the reffing discussion, by the way. Stats guy Bob's got a couple of comments. He says 5 current NHL officials were selected in an NHL draft, and 1 played in an NHL game. Dean Morton in 89-90 with Detroit scored a goal, assisted by Habscheid and Yzerman.
I'm pretty sure Wes was drafted. Macaulay.
Was he? Okay.
I think so.
I know.
I wouldn't know.
All I know is I was looking at the NHL, the officials association website at one point, and they were talking about basically a combine for refs or something to that effect, and they were accepting applications. And one of the recommendations were that you had played a high level of hockey, right? That you had, preferably college or junior level hockey as a background. So they're looking for obviously really good skaters and people who know the game or can see the game at a certain speed, right? I mean, it's we as upset as we get with the officiating in the NHL. I mean, the speed that you just have to get down to ice level. I'm amazed that they make any calls at all, to be fair, right? Like the speed that they're playing. When we're out on the ice, I mean, it's a little bit slower, just a touch. But you go out there and when you do get a chance to watch at ice level, you get a real feel for just how fast these guys are, and it's unbelievable. What really amazes me is how often they go back to the offside, and how often they linesmen are right. Like we get the joy of watching a replay or at a bird's eye view, and we're they're typically right more often than we are, and I'm just floored by that, just how good they are.
Yeah, and like that whole review system for offsides, like that, if the guy's offside by like an inch or less, or is his toe off the ice, that's like not why they wanted to be able to review offsides. They wanted to be able to review it because Buddy was like 2 feet inside the blue line and just was not seen by the linesman.
Yeah. Cassian might be a 30-goal scorer.
Well, yeah, and then it just got kind of ridiculous with the challenges, and what they were trying to determine by camera was these like tiny little, if his skate was off the ice. I think they might be changing that one, but yeah.
It's I'm 100% with you. I'd be curious. I mean, do you think that you and we're out of time, but let's chat about this anyway. Do you think you view the game any differently because you're an official? That's one of the things you do. Do you think you view it any differently than we do as players? Like the NHL, I'm talking about. Do you think that when you watch a game, you might have a different viewpoint than we would?
No, 100% I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want the Oilers to do well and I want them to win, but like that. And like I'm not saying there's not missed calls or bad calls that go against the Oilers, but some of the stuff is like every game and every call, it's like people are up in arms about it, and I just don't see it that way. Like I can see it from the officials' viewpoint way more.
I got to ask you.
Not every call against the Oilers is wrong, and not every call that the Oilers get away with is wrong. Like it's just there are some, but it's not every single one.
One direct question though, Brett. Kessler on Talbot.
That's I don't know about that one. Like when you look at that replay, his hand's right on the guy's pad, and he's like he's like kneeling or on his knees.
And the excuse, like Nurse pushed him in there. Well, sure, he pushed him into the net, but he didn't take his hand and make him grab Talb's goal pad and yank it like that.
Yeah, no, that one I don't know. I can't agree.
You can't defend the ref there, can you?
Not on that one. But like it's just like every game, like
okay, you can stay.
I scroll on Twitter every game and I just see people going crazy about every little thing.
Right.
And
there's a human side to officiating too, right?
And like I don't know the exact stats. People always quote them as saying like the Oilers don't earn a lot of power plays compared to the rest of the league, and they have McDavid, which I think we kind of talked about last time, was like, they're never going to call every single penalty that McDavid does go through. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
We could talk about that one forever. It's just the case, right? And we'll have to get into this at some point, because my feeling is that though if you call every one of them at the beginning of a game, that it changes the direction of the game, right? Like you're managing the game accordingly. If you stick to the rules right away, then as any ref right out there, they have a way that they call, and they establish that early, and you typically know if a ref came to the rink mad, or if he or if he was happy before he got there, right? Like right away, right? Or if they remember you from last game, right?
If I go hardcore standard in the first, and it's you got to let us play. Let me play, man. Let the boys play.
We can do a whole segment on that Oilers Anaheim series, because it wasn't just the Kessler, on Talbot there. That whole series had a different slant on it. I mean, Getzlaf he had diplomatic immunity. I mean, he could do anything in that series.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, some of those guys seem to get away with a lot compared to other guys, for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I hate reliving that.
But also, what was that? What did the Oilers give up in that final period there? Like 3 goals?
Oh, yeah. No, there's no question.
I know it comes down to that final one, but...
I'm going to cuss here, but use a fucking timeout, McClellan.
Well, it's not unlike the Vegas thing, right? Like in my mind, the conversation shouldn't be about how bad the call was. It should be about how you allowed them to get back into it. So that was even a point of contention.
Yeah.
Like get your shit together and figure it out, right? Yeah. All right, guys. It's 10:35. It's that time where I feel like. Did you have Romper Room growing up there?
Never heard of it, man.
So you don't even know about like the magic mirror
You had Barney. You were equal.
There you go.
Wow. Wow. I was like, we got to have some type of Romper Room had the best ending for kids shows.
No, it didn't.
I'll tell you this, Mike. Yeah, I'll say it. I'll tell you this. When I was a kid, One of my prized possessions that I got one time was the San Jose Sharks starter jacket
There you go.
because they were a new team, expansion team.
Starter jackets were a big deal, though, too, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the shit. Man, wow. You were rocking the MP3 player and the starter
Well,
jacket.
MP3 was
like,
later.
Wow. Look at this guy. Oh man. you
MP3 player was high school.
You
Mike.
probably had a pony.
I've told Michael this, but I'll tell you, Brett. I wore a San Jose Sharks jersey because I played bantam hockey in Sedgwick, so we were the Sedgwick Sharks, so we had Sharks jerseys.
You guys are both dead to me.
I like the Sharks. I think I like their colors.
Yeah, no.
You're both dead to me. I have been to more Sharks games probably like in San Jose than any other team in the NHL outside of Edmonton. No, Calgary. I've been to more Flames, more games at the Dome, but San Jose is next. It's you know what? It's a good place to watch a game. But you're not allowed to cheer for them anymore, fellas. So toss that starter jacket out and put on the Oilers orange and blue. Let's get this
copper and blue.
Copper.
That's my era, bud.
That's wow. All right. Here's where we say goodnight. It's Michael from Oilers Live. It was a fun night with Mr. Megathread Mike Dursa and Rip the Ref Brett Luchansky. And if Mom Luchansky's still listening, thanks for listening in tonight. And Bob, the stats guy, as always, quick on the stats. Had a fun night again. Looking forward to next Monday. Before then, we got Thursday, 8:30. I don't know if I've got even guests lined up, but we'll make it exciting. We'll find some people. Hey, we're gonna have a run the goalie segment, I think. All right. Any last words, guys?
No.
Nothing?
Bye, Mom.
Yeah. All right. That's the best last words. All right. Everybody have a great night.
See you guys.
See ya.